Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Will, and I'm joined by my co-host over here, the Grease. Say hello, Grease.
Y'all don't hear us get upset often.
No.
In fact, we play things very diplomatically, typically.
I'm nicer to whiskey brands than I am to you.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
I care what they think about me.
I know. We do care. And we used to have some very, very close people in this situation, that I don't think if they were at Buffalo Trace, this happens.
Yeah.
I honestly don't, because there was like a principle involved.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or it seemed.
I'm going to pour me a little bit of this Jack Daniel's American Single Malt. Because if people want to see, we'll talk about it here as well, but if people want to see a review, you were on a call with Chris Fletcher and some other media type folks, last week. And then you did just a review that can be seen on for our patrons. So, video review, Grease giving some of the facts that he got from the call. Yeah. And that, so if you
Speaking of patrons,
patreon.com/thepodcast, it's the only way you can see that review.
And so Will and I are putting our heads together. We've already put our heads together, and we've got something very different coming to our Patreon very soon. We'll go into detail later, but I'm getting very excited about our Patreon.
Yeah, if you've been around the podcast long enough, and we're coming up on 8 years doing this, that you know that there's cycles, there's undulations, there's changes that come along as we do things for a season, and then we spice it up a little bit. And we are going through one of those seasonings currently where we're going to change some stuff up, do stuff a little bit different to keep things fresh and to keep things exciting and to engage our listeners and friends as best we can. So be on the lookout for that. Also, you saw us with Chris and Josh last week. Prior to that, I was sick one week. You were sick another week. I was out of town. You were out of town. So we started getting messages like, are you guys okay? Was there an explosion that we didn't know about behind the scenes?
They're all waiting for this.
Wow, that is a very likely scenario. Yeah, we got busy with sickness and life that we took about 4 weeks off, and now we're back in the swing of things. But we're also, during that time, we were constantly spitballing, like, okay, what can we do differently here? What can we do differently here? So look forward to that, and we'll talk about that more coming up, but especially when we get a good grasp on what we're going to be doing. But we know we're going to make some changes to Patreon and make it more engaging and
a lot more exclusivity.
Right. Yeah. The people that support this show are the ones who need to get the best and most out of it. And so that's what they're going to get. So, I mean, even just a little taste of that is you're like, hey, I'm going to go do a review real quick of this American Single Malt because I have it. It's right here. And you did it. And if you're a patron or you want to be a patron, that post is unlocked for you. So go check that out. And
you got that full review. Like, I was able to do that on the day it was released.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's before release.
Right.
But when we do those things, when we're on like a media thing, I'm just going to plan on going live right after it, or you go live right after it, and just let our people know everything we know about it and think about it. So
this is really good though. It's 90 proof. It's a duty-free shop.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I mentioned it in the video, and a lot of people are like, why is Jack Daniel's coming out with something that we can't get? Because it's going to be in duty-free. It's going to be international release.
Yeah. Which is how the bottled and bond Jack Daniel's started.
Right.
So
now, Fletcher has no idea if this comes to the States. He says it's not going to happen.
Sure. It's just they don't have that rollout slated.
He has no skin in the game as far as like the strategy of release and how it's done. However, if you're upset by that, there's something slightly okay.
Okay, what's that?
It's going to be available on American basis.
Okay, so get a buddy who can go to the commissary.
Commissary.
Yeah, or the exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
PX or whatever.
Yeah. So I had friends in high school because I lived in Virginia Beach in Norfolk, Virginia, and you can get a lot of my friends. Their parents were military or retired military. They can go to the PX or the exchange, the commissary, and shop on base. So they would take friends sometimes. We weren't buying liquor at the base at that point in our lives.
But, a couple of Hot Wheels cars.
But it was always a cool thing, kind of a cool experience. So if you got a buddy that's military or former military that can go on the
there's zero
commissary,
chance y'all didn't try.
We definitely did not try on the base. I don't know why. I mean, first of all,
machine guns everywhere.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you go where it's like, especially in your mind, not like they're law enforcement. It's like we're going to go to an American government store.
Okay, that makes sense because in Grand Theft Auto, when you drop from the plane down into the military base, there's no questions asked. Like you're just roasted,
right? Immediately. So so no, there was no illegal purchase attempts.
I mean, honestly, that's
not
a good
that we would have
decision,
done that anyways. Yeah,
I feel like y'all made a good young decision.
That was about the only one.
Yeah.
Solid.
So it is accessible here in the United States. So I want to go ahead and say that right out of the gate because.
And I know we have a lot of listeners that are military or former military that can take advantage of that as well.
And let me go ahead and tell you. Do you know MSRP on this?
I don't.
It's pretty economical.
It's probably around $50.
It's probably $40 to $50 or something like that. It is a buy it now for that amount. There is so much flavor in that.
A lot of flavor.
It is crazy. And it doesn't have that, like you taste it and it doesn't have that jack to it.
Yeah, I think the sherry finishing does a lot to kind of
calm that down. Yeah. Now you do know that does go through 10 feet of charcoal.
Yeah. Which I
didn't even think they were going to do that process with this.
I meant to ask this on the bonded rye call, and I'm pretty sure they've mentioned it or I've asked it on a tour at Jack.
On rye, it's only 3 feet.
Right, but my question was going to be, which 3 feet is the amount that Gentleman Jack goes through the second time, I believe. Gentleman Jack goes through 10 feet, and then a second mellowing is only 3 feet.
Oh, okay.
But I believe each spirit has to have their own mellowing vats. Like you're not throwing American single malt through a old number 7 or Tennessee whiskey vat.
Oh yeah. I'm assuming it had to be
so there has to be
cleaned in some way.
There has to be dedicated vats for each spirit. So not like they don't have room, but to do a full release of a new product that's a different spirit in the United States would require a lot more investment on things like charcoal mellowing vats to be able to produce the quantity to fulfill that. I don't know. That's just something I always think of is that because they have that extra step, if they're fooling around with their Tennessee whiskey or now rye at this point, which took them a long time to get to, they do have to think in terms of volume of the product that they can get through those vats.
Yeah.
Is just kind of something to think through.
Fletcher did tease that there's another still coming.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, or at least it seemed like he really wanted it and he's trying to get it approved.
Yeah. Because they did just like refurbish all those stills.
Yes, they had the stills out. They were cleaning them and doing all this other stuff like last year.
Right.
Yeah.
This year, actually, because we were at Jack Daniel's when they were doing it. Oh, yeah. In March.
Oh, yeah. Was that? Oh, yeah. For Whiskey Weekend.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right.
So there was another thing about the.
Was it something you mentioned in the video?
No.
Okay. Well, then you can say it. But if not, just go watch the video.
Oh, no, I did say this in the video. So
then I was going to say, you could save it.
Something interesting. No, because I go into way more detail on this. But something interesting is that when they finish things, not in the single malt category,
right?
But like, let's just say the Añejo finished one, that came out.
Añejo, but yes,
Añejo,
yeah,
Añejo,
yeah, Añejo, Añejo.
Oh, Añejo. Oh, okay, because it's a Y. It's not a Y, but it's like a Y.
It's a J.
So they actually they age the whiskey in the barrel, Jack Daniel's
in the new white oak.
Yep. They take the whiskey out. They send the barrels to Mexico.
Okay.
They fill up the barrels, the Jack barrels,
with
tequila.
Age it in there.
Then they empty it, send them back to Jack, and Jack throws the whiskey in there and leaves it in there. So I just thought that was interesting. Instead of like acquiring like, port barrels or Cabernet barrels, and they get, coming back and, you've got these bigger barrels and you put it in there and you finish it. Like using their own barrels, I think is pretty cool.
And I believe it's Herradura is the Brown-Forman owned tequila house in Mexico, obviously. But I believe it's Herradura is the Brown-Forman company. So they have a pipeline to their own within their own ecosystem of sending barrels down to, like, they're saving cost in a sense of using their barrels, sending them to their own tequila distillery, and then having them send it back. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to do the accounting on that, but there's a lot of writing off doing of one barrel. You know what I mean? So
I wonder if they send
pretty cool
the used whiskey barrels or if they send new ones. I did not clarify that from him. To Mexico for finishing.
No, you said they are used.
I did say that. I don't have clarity on
I'm
that.
almost certain that
so they're not sending new charred oak. No, that wouldn't make sense.
No, because they want some of the smokiness or the whiskey flavors to go into those añejo. A lot of spirits.
I guess they could do it.
Rum, tequila, scotch, all sorts of different spirits globally take used barrels from like Jack Daniel's, Buffalo Trace, and Heaven Hill. They buy them and they age their spirits in them.
Yeah.
Like it's Jack Daniel's because of also how many barrels they're going through.
They've got their own cooperage.
They go around globally. They're purchased by distilleries.
It's just branding everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
their barrels are all over the international and Scotch markets and like for finishing and stuff.
All right. So here's where we get sassy. This is the one that, this was announced this week.
You want 2002 George C. Stack?
Yeah.
Speaking of Buffalo Trace, let's just talk about how good their whiskey is.
This was announced.
Tell them they suck.
This was announced this week officially. Some photos started coming out last week, but press release. Buffalo Trace Distillery is thrilled to announce the Prohibition Collection. This is going to be an annual, limited edition, multi-bottle collection honoring the whiskeys that were legally produced and sold at the distillery during arguably the most contentious time period in alcohol history. So here are the brands that until
now
they messed
up a word.
Which one?
Pretentious.
Oh. So here we go.
What they say? Credentious?
Contentious.
Contentious, yeah.
Yeah, it was
contentious.
It was contested. So these are the 5 labels that they're bringing back. Old Stag, which was like the original George T. Stag, at the George T. Stag Distillery. Old Stag, Golden Wedding, Three Feathers, Walnut Hill, and Spiritus Frumenti. Now, Old Stag is going to be 132.4 proof. It's uncut.
Does it say the age?
It doesn't say the age. Golden Wedding, 107 proof rye whiskey. There is Three Feathers, which is 100 proof bottled in bond. Then we've got Walnut Hill, 90 proof high rye bourbon. And Spiritus Frumenti is 110 proof wheated bourbon. So they come in a set of 5 375 milliliters, so half bottles, in a wooden collector's box. And they are retailing, word on the street is, and by word on the street from the press release, $999.99.
Buffalo Trace, you suck.
It'll be rolling out this October, so this month, to select retailers, bars, restaurants across the United States. So,
yeah. Can I...
Red flags all over the place.
Here's my hot take. One.
Is it that hot?
375 milliliters. You are talking half of this times 5. Yeah. A half bottle of whiskey is $200.
You're getting 2.5
and you
bottles
have to
total.
spend $1,000.
You have to spend $1,000. You can't. These aren't broken up into sets. It comes in a collector's box.
I guarantee. Here's what's going to happen: secondary, it's going to hit. Old Stag's going to be there for $500. Then they'll sell the Fermente or whatever. It's
more than that. I think individual 375s are going to go for $1,000 each on the secondary market. That's my prediction, which is horrendous. Here's my biggest problem.
The set will go for $5.
This is not. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. 5 times.
Yeah.
Yes. Easy. $5,000 for the set
for 375s. Buffalo Trace isn't the problem.
Well, they're part of it.
No, it's just these.
Here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem.
It's fine.
This collector set is $1,000, and none of these are age stated. I would assume.
It's all that new stock, dude.
I shouldn't assume, but I mean, essentially, what you're getting is you're getting barrel proof Old Stag. So you're getting Stag Junior, or just George T. Stagg right now, in this mix. Golden Wedding 107 proof rye whiskey. So you're getting 107 proof Sazerac rye, or depending on which one they're using, maybe 107 proof.
We haven't
Taylor
heard
straight
of any
rye.
new mash bills coming out.
No. That's what I'm saying. These are just repackaged current offerings that are non-age stated.
Right.
This isn't even the antique collection that's giving you all that information. There is less transparency with this, and it is exponentially more expensive. A half bottle is double retail almost of antique collection.
Yes.
And all they're doing is taking a defunct trademark.
Yes.
Because Lord knows they haven't been keeping that up. Now they probably did. They probably refiled the trademark for these.
Filed the trademark.
But I guarantee you these were defunct trademarks at some point in the last 25 years that they re-upped and filed with now that they're going to be using it again, because they weren't using it, so you know that it wasn't an active trademark. You have to, at least when you refile, and no one kept for 100 years, Walnut Hill or Three Feathers,
or Fermente Exponentious or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Fermenti. It's that one you let Greaves play with for a minute and it starts getting gross. Then but the fact that they're saying we're going to sell half bottles for now I guess the retail on BTAC's like $130, but double essentially the retail up until 2 years ago of BTAC. But they better double the prices of BTAC retail. They better, just because for their own sake
because they're
saving
so
face.
Stupid. Here's what's happening. You ready for this? They have a crap ton of new stock.
Yeah.
Crap ton of new stock. They are trying to make as much money as they possibly can, because guess what? The whiskey industry in 5 years is going to look like a Walmart that went out of business.
You're going to see brands dropping out of existence left and right because the demand's going to dry up to a certain extent.
The demand's already dried up. Look at barrel picks.
It's not dried up yet. I'd say it's drying up.
It is drying. Yes.
We're in that process, but then it will settle into an equilibrium where demand and the marketplace will still be.
Buffalo Trace isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and they're going to
playing it smart.
They're going to make good whiskey going forward. I have a huge problem with this. At least, even if it's only 8 years old, if that for some of these.
If that, yeah. I mean, it could be
if
6.
it is, just tell us. Just let us know. But the fact that you're going to sell me a wooden box, which I've heard wooden boxes are expensive these days. But if you're going for 5, I have some of these literally in my miniature collection.
Right.
Some of these labels.
I got Walnut Hill.
And I have Walnut Hill, and I definitely have Old Stag, and I think I have a Golden Wedding.
I don't have those.
But it's like,
Golden Wedding sounds...
Golden Wedding. It does sound like a... Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, you let Grease play with these names for a minute, and we're going to have to stop. 3 Feathers. How do you feel about that? Normally I only use 2.
Why is it 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
1 for each hand?
I don't know. Sure, I like paying tribute to the past. Heck, before now, these are like the old cabin still 80 proof bottom shelfers that are going for $13 that that Heaven Hill still has.
Yes.
Like that's the problem is that some of these labels brands have been doing that, but they've just like Old Crow. That's an old label, old brand. It's crap whiskey. They're not going to tell me that this is $1,000 worth of whiskey for 5 half bottles.
They're making the statement that we are better than everybody else. Who out there does 375 milliliters, 5 of them for $1,000?
Now, to be honest, this is the Joe Bourbon dream. Joe B has been clamoring for this.
He's in his corner office downtown, just literally like
he's writing checks.
He's like looking at whiskey news and he's like, man, is this porn? I'm acting a different way to this news.
It's aggressive. They 375 just make me so happy. Here's the thing, though, is also the fact that they've got these. I'm upset. But to go one step further is that they did do that Centennial collection that Joe B owned like 20 years ago now, probably. But that was where like the old Fitzgerald, actually it wasn't Buffalo Trace. But do you remember they did those classic bottles? There was I think it was, let me look it up because collection.
Man, those iPads act like real computers now.
Let's see. Goodness, what was it? Yeah, there was the W.L. Weller Centennial.
Yes.
Which Joe Bourbon got one of. W.L. Weller Centennial 10-year-old. That was 100 proof. There was in that mix, I think there was an Old Fitzgerald. Here it is.
It says it's going for $3,500 to $14,000.
Yeah, so it was I.W. Harper, W.L. Weller, Old Charter, George Dickel, and Old Fitzgerald 12. I'm curious it was the United Distillers and Vintners Company so it was Diageo at the time. So that had to have been before.
I'd pay $1,000 for that lineup.
United Distillers had W.L. Weller and Old Charter and I.W. Harper and George Dickel are still Diageo brands, I believe. And then, but so similar concept, but I don't think it was $1,000 at the time. And you got full bottles for those.
Right.
Right. It was the early 90s, and I don't know what it went for originally, but still, that was kind of the idea, what they're doing here. So it's not even like it's that new of an idea. They're kind of doing what was done in the early 90s, but they're just charging an arm and a leg for it.
And halving the bottles.
Right.
Yeah.
And those were age stated.
I mean,
at least you knew it.
At the end of the day, people out there, do you care about a label more than you do the whiskey? Like
some people do.
I'm sincerely asking. Like, I know we love stickers on bottles for barrel picks. They're fun. It's easier to tell them apart. Totally get it. But
I mean, especially these two, it's like they look cool because they're vintage, but they don't look cool like, man, that's a really beautifully designed label. Like the Golden Wedding looks stupid.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. You're not going to spend $1,000 on 375s.
Yeah.
Like a normal human being.
Yeah.
You're not. You're either buying this because you're going to resell it. Fine. Do it. Do whatever you want to do. Or 2, you've got the money. You want to show it out. That's great. And that's also fine. I'm just like, if we support 375s for $1,000, let me go ahead and tell you what everybody else is going to do. If it sells, it sells.
Well, here's interesting thing is I saw Tarak from Elixir in one of his posts or something. It was about this, and he said, I just told my distributor, please just send them all to restaurants. Like, don't just send them to restaurants so we can just say they went to restaurants. Like if there's only like 6 coming to the state of Tennessee, don't send them to a store. Just send them to restaurants and let it be. And you know what? The restaurant will make a killing off of that because they'll probably charge each one of these $200 a pour and do completely fine off of it. Mm-hmm. They'll make a good amount of money. But that's the thing too. There's no real word or like quantity kind of inclination to how much it's going to be. They do say it's going to be a limited quantity and it's annual. Those are 2 words that...
Of course it's annual because it's the new Dadgum stock, Will, that's literally maybe 5 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, they only have to use half of what they would for a BTAC on this because it's the half bottle. And that's the thing is like, is it going to be...
I guess they... No, it would have to say blend if they blended it with other stock, right?
No. One, there's no age statement.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, and as long as it's all the same mash bill, it's just a batch of whiskey.
Okay.
If they were age stating, it would have to be the youngest. Like you could do 15-year whiskey and a crap load of 4-year, but you just don't disclose the age statement. Yeah. I do think I think this first run will easily sell out.
Yeah, it will.
Wherever it is. I don't think this is going to be one like a store got stuck with and it's sitting back there because there's probably not going to be that many where a store gets 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder what the angle of retail fatigue is on items like this.
Well, I wonder. Because I do wonder.
Rock is saying, I don't want the hottest item that's going to be coming out. What does that mean?
Yeah, there's a good chance some retailers just like pass. I mean, like, I can make probably quick money, but then people will ask for it.
Everybody's going to be upset.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be upset because let's just say the retailer gets 1. Tarak at Elixir loves to bundle things. What would you have to bundle in order for him to really get the value out of it? He would see $10,000 more in income if it was just a barrel. You know what I mean? Like if it was a Buffalo Trace barrel.
Sure.
Just something similar like that. He would make. So I totally understand why retailers are just like, don't give this to me because I don't want to have conversations with my 10 best guys that spend $50,000 a year in here.
Yeah, right. And it's like, oh, it is all of a sudden. I mean, I doubt it, but like for this 1 year is like a Pappy going to be like a consolation prize? Like but I have Pappy 23 for you. It's like, no, I wanted the bundle. I wanted the 5-pack. It's like, how much Wheatley do you have to buy to get this bundle?
You get $200 for a big bottle of Pappy, or $1,000 for halvesies of stuff that's probably not aged.
Next year, they're going to add the 50 ml collection. It'll be $375, but you'll get just all mini bottles of all 5, and it's a great stocking stuffer. If you can get it.
I would stuff stockings of Buffalo. I would literally take it and stuff.
I would shoot all 5 in a row. I go, if that happened, that'd be great. That'd be pretty good. I'm not pleased. I'm not pleased with where this is going.
Here's the deal,
this is not good for anyone.
It's going to be good whiskey. We know it's going to be good.
Here's the thing. If it were great whiskey, they would be giving a lot more information. It'll be fine whiskey. It is not $1,000 for 5 bottles.
No, I'm just saying,
it's not
like
$200
Buffalo
half
Trace
bottle.
In their normal lines, like their heritage
their
line,
whiskey is good.
It's very good. They're using the same mash bills. Is it probably going to be younger? Yes. Am I excited to try that? The closest thing it's going to be to is Bland's. Bland's is typically 6 years.
Sure. Well, and that's the 90 proof. They are higher proofs. Like, see, the 90 proof is the high rye bourbon.
That's how they got 5 of them. They
Walnut
have to
Hill.
differentiate.
And then 110 wheated bourbon, 110 proof wheated bourbon. It's like, okay, it's a little bit lighter, Weller full proof. I mean, none of these are anything new, and they're just charging you for they're laughing at us.
They are.
They're laughing at us.
Like if you
here's the question,
live
Grease.
in the whiskey world,
if you walk
and knew
into
Buffalo
a store,
Trace was making fun of you to your face, would you give them $1,000?
And here's the question, Grease. If you walk into a store and it's behind the counter for $1,000, are you buying it?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
It's sitting there.
I'm going to let Chris Perpokiak
$9.99.99,
and then he'll send us samples.
Well, not too hefty of ones. These are the 1 ounce.
Like, we're talking like
1 ounce. He's going to blend them to use less whiskey of it.
Somebody should.
It's ridiculous. This one is where yes, they've been laughing at us for a long time, and people are probably out there like, they've been laughing at us with the Weller line for years. CYPB, single barrel, all, it's like, right. But at least those were still priced in the range.
Yeah.
They were still priced as everyday bottles. I don't care what people were flipping them for. That's stupidity and always has been.
Mm-hmm.
But the retail price, that's actually been one thing about Buffalo Trace, is they've priced everything except for like the Double Eagle Very Rare and the OFCs that are very expensive, but also ultra aged.
Mm-hmm.
They price their stuff below competition on many things. It's not, and yes, we've been down the arguments. They want it to be jacked up. It's like, okay, at the end of the day, they're undercut. They're the gas station across the street selling for 5 cents less. They are driving demand by doing that. These are business practices as old as time. However, this is really the first time I feel like they're giving a middle finger to the community that loves their products.
Yeah, because I think Daniel Weller I was totally fine with that.
No, that was the first one where I was like, okay, this is absurd, but it's $500. Like, okay, so I take back my statement of this is the first time. Second time, but this is the most egregious.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely escalated, but I'm not too bummed by the Daniel Weller thing. That's their prerogative. If they want to do that, I don't understand. I really don't understand what their mindset is in this situation, except to make money and get rid of younger stock. That's the only thing I can see.
Yeah.
Because if they're using older stock, like
this is a business that is every decision you make is based off forecasting.
Yes.
This isn't
let me go ahead and tell you something. The forecast does not look good right now.
Right. That's why it's such a questionable decision to me, is because every single bit of it has to do with forecasting out the demand minimum if you're doing a straight whiskey that's non-age dated 4 years. Mm-hmm. Minimum. But within the range of stuff, you're doing forecasting 6 to 7 years out. And it's really hard to tell. Like, if it were just flood, if it were flood
people
the
making
market,
tons of money to be able to do
if it were flood the market with product to get rid of it right now, but keeping prices the same, I would say they're concerned about the future of demand going down, which I think people like us that have been around this for some time now and are looking at it, there are questions about the sustainability of demand, even right now, but especially in the next 3 to 4 years. Now, couple that with they're flooding the market with new product, but their prices keep going up, just is a very questionable business decision, because that also is signaling we think we can set this. They're not going to next year say it's only 500. Oh. Like they set the price for this annual release. Do they think this extends beyond 2 years?
I think we're going to see a bottom shelfer come out of Buffalo Trace the next year or two. Writing's on the wall with all those barrels up there, and
But I mean, at the same time, though, they already have old charter. They already have the benchmark lineup that is not even the elevated benchmark.
What if Stag Junior was
relegated,
like a $20 bottle? Like they brought back the Junior for a low end deal.
That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting, and it would.
You mean benchmark foolproof?
Essentially.
I mean, they could have multiple labels. Yeah. It would be interesting, though, like you're saying, if they did roll out a lower end and put like.
And I also think they're going to do contract distilling.
Yeah, that is something that
I think you'll see a lot of distilleries
that Buffalo Trace does not, at least. I mean, some people would argue with it, but I trust the sources we had.
And on that side of things, it's Barton that mainly does that.
Right. Yeah.
That heavy lifting.
Exactly. They do. Barton does the contract distilling and barrel broker sales. The Buffalo Trace Distillery itself did not. And as far as I know, still
as far as I know too, I haven't heard that. But.
Right. So, I mean, it's very curious, but like I said, but the problem with that though is when you have so much stock too, if the demand is drying up, the brands that would be buying contract stuff may not be like the time to ride that wave was when the demand was going up and all these little NDPs were popping up and wanting to throw whiskey in a bottle.
It depends on if the NDP market doesn't know how to forecast. That's who Buffalo Trace will be contract distilling for.
Yeah, but here's the thing: someone does, and they're going to have to get an investor. And if the market's sour, it's going to be hard to get a investor to put money behind your.
Yeah, I mean, unless he thinks that just whiskey's just sexy to be a part of.
That's also true.
Which these celebrities do that.
Why do you think the podcast exists? Not celebrities, but hey, whiskey's kind of sexy to be a part of.
We're a little too rough.
You know what I mean? What I say last week? I said like, manly is not a adjective that I would use to describe you and me.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I need to do my beard again. Well,
don't. I think you look good.
Really?
Yeah, people. I think you look great.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
So we are, while we have picked a lot of barrels and we've had really great relationships at Buffalo Trace, the time has come just for us to be pissed. So,
yeah.
And it encompasses a lot. It encompasses the patron of whiskey. Mm-hmm. There's a retail side to this that is going to be tough to navigate.
Right.
And then there's also like the demand and stuff that they're coming out, and it's 375 milliliters for 5 bottles. It's for $1,000. You're dumb.
I know that we have obviously, and a lot of people as well. We're not the only people, but have grown more fond of Jack Daniels and the stuff they're putting out, especially under the tenure of Chris Fletcher. But even the tail end of Jeff Arnett was really starting to focus on the consumer. And early in our podcast journey, Jack Daniels really wasn't doing that. It was mostly Gentleman Jack, Old Number 7, and Sinatra. Like that was essentially when we started. That was basically
Gold.
The Gold came out,
the Gold, Sinatra and the Gold,
which were just not great products.
This tastes like a chocolate chip cookie.
It's a sugar cookie. I brought a chocolate chip cookie without the chocolate chips. Was specifically the tasting note I gave.
And I mean, pretty accurate.
But what we've seen out of them is they're more doing now what Buffalo Trace was doing early on with providing things that were really a good value of whiskey and what whiskey lovers liked. I mean, Weller 12 was readily available and it was $30. Like it was $29 on the shelf. Mm-hmm. All of their product lines were readily available and really good. And then people started buying them up because of the whole Pappy mystique didn't help anyone with, especially when it came to the Weller line, because people would be like, oh, it's just, it's cheaper, younger Pappy. Mm-hmm. So as that happened, that made the stocks dry up pretty quick. But it was still like going in and buying a bottle of Buffalo Trace was very similar to going in and buying a bottle of Wild Turkey 101. It's like, I know it's a quality product and it's always there. Now, Jack Daniels, I can go in
and 8 years old too.
Great products that I like that are really good because they're now catering with the single barrel lines, with even like the triple mash and the bonded, and even their limited releases aren't priced extravagantly, even if they're not super easy to get. I do like their taster series because they're not $1,000 for a set of them, and it's something unique that I probably don't want a full bottle of. That's the reason I get it in that size, because I probably don't want a full bottle of it.
Yeah.
Not
everybody wants
down there.
Well, that one sounds great. Straight Tennessee rye whiskey finished in high toast.
Oh, that one is delightful.
Let's just open that right now.
Yeah, and
which one is this?
75.
Oh, I
double.
bought two.
Surprise,
I typically do that. I typically do that.
So Grease bought a full bottle of it. I probably don't want a full bottle of this, but I'll buy 2 halves.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're expensive.
They're not $250.
No, but these are like what, $40?
No, I think they're like 60. They aren't cheap. The taster series, which are now the distillery series, but
I thought they were.
And actually, I will say this: I picked up one of the Añejo barreled ones.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, and I
like
like
tequila. A lot of people did not like that.
I need to revisit it. Now that I've got my mind made up, I didn't like it, and I need to go back and give it.
Did you not like it because it was Jack?
No, I didn't like it because there wasn't a ton of flavor to it to me, like really at all. It wasn't like it was. It felt kind of diluted, the flavor. I didn't get a lot of I wanted some of the pepper from the agave. I wanted some of the, those kind of, pepper is like the main thing I love out of tequila. I like young tequila because I like the peppery and kind of the, some of the citrus that comes out of some good tequila. But I was getting none of that on it. And it tasted like watered down Jack to me. Like everything was muted. It's like the barrel absorbed the flavor. But I don't know. I'll give it another shot because I have it. But I was not super.
Yeah, I haven't had
it.
But I'm not a huge Añejo
tequila fan.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, Añejo.
Añejo.
Oh, you know what we should do?
What?
That cowboy bourbon that they sent us from Garrison Brothers. We've already been throwing bombs. Might as well just crack something up from Texas and give it a whirl. A $200 bottle from Texas and give it a go. You want to go to the 15?
Hit the music.
And we're back from the 15.
Some say we never left, Will.
Well, I haven't left trying to get this sample bottle open.
Well, here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't want to touch that. That's been in places. So this is Garrison Brothers Distillery. This is the Cowboy Bourbon of 2023. Cowboy Bourbon is their limited release that they do annually. We have a press release that we'll get into some of the details after we try it. But we're going to do something where we try it first and then start to find out what we're drinking. I don't know which edition this is, but I have had a couple of the previous ones, and I don't know what edition those were, but I have had Cowboy Bourbon before. Have you? Have you ever had that?
I have had it. I did not like it. So
our buddy Miles collects them and really likes them.
Oh, of course he does.
You need another glass.
He loves Texas.
He has 4 glasses.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, do you want to shoot that?
What is this?
That's the Jack Daniels rye that you had me pour you. Oh. There's a clean glass right beneath you. All right. That's one way to do it. I'll start off with what we know.
That is nice.
This is
that right.
A 4-ounce sample. It's dipped in gold with a little star on top, which is how their bottles come as well. But this is 140.9 proof. Their cowboy bourbons are very, very hot.
And like this Texas. Is dark.
And it is dark. Now, Garrison Brothers, I've had some cowboy bourbons, I've had stuff. It's very polarizing because there are people that really like Garrison Brothers. That I would not say is like the vast majority opinion because
no, that's Texas, just people and barely people in Texas.
Yeah, I'm just saying Texas whiskey in general gets a bad rap. I'm not saying it's not warranted because there's some garbage Texas whiskeys. The people at Garrison Brothers have always been nice to us.
They have been very nice to us.
We've never had an issue.
And they sent us stuff. And they sent us stuff this time. I'm not necessarily. I'm very interested to try it.
Yeah,
that's my way of.
We'll
saying.
Be honest, and we'll give it a go. It's an expense. I know these releases are expensive, and I know they're very limited, and they're very high proof, and they're Texas whiskey. So there are a lot of things to wade through when giving a concept and
smell that. It smells like a McDonald's Happy Meal.
That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. I love the way that smells.
I don't know how.
That's how my car smells most afternoons.
I don't know how I feel about it. It honestly, I might have backwashed in here because.
It's got a very bold, very, very bold nose. A lot of corn.
Okay, McDonald's went away.
Why? No, it doesn't. McDonald's stays.
Yeah, it still looks the same.
It did not smell like Happy Meal, clearly, because McDonald's Happy Meal does not leave.
McDonald's aged 10 years in the white oak barrel. 4 char. Oh, man. Okay.
It's a earthy
tobacco,
leathery corn. Like the corn is heavily there, and you can tell it goes through hell in Texas because this is so dark.
It's so it's burning my nose. It's 140.9, so we got to remember that.
It's hot. Yeah, that's hot.
It's hot.
That's hot as Texas.
Whew. All right, here we go.
Okay. Sorry, you go ahead.
I don't like the flavor profile. One. However, this is oily.
Yeah.
The finish is long.
Yeah. You know what the finish tastes like?
Packed with flavor, but I don't know if you want. It's kind of like
vanilla extract.
No, the flavor to me
on the finish
feels like grassy.
See, I don't get that. I get like vanilla extract.
When it enters my palate, it's very earthy.
Yeah. No, definitely a lot of earth. Chocolate, like dark chocolate, like 90% cacao.
Yeah. Here's the deal.
Nibs.
The finish is 4 days. Like literally 4 days.
I'm drooling like your dog right now. Like that is how much saliva is.
Like I'm trying to figure out like where I want to spit.
Yeah. I mean,
I just swallowed it.
Worst things.
I know. I mean, we swallow spit all day long. You know what I mean? It's just it sounds bad saying it, but I mean we do it.
Yeah.
Dude, when you get your teeth clean and they have your mouth open for 10 minutes, don't you have to like gulp like to get yeah. Like
yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, we got to suck that out."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I just drank
I love that little
half of like
I love that spray gun though.
Scum that you just washed off my teeth.
All right, I'm gonna do another sip. I don't hate the flavor.
Mm-mm. I don't either by now.
A lot.
It's that
there's some bitter. There's some heavy bitter.
Yes,
like
in the middle.
In the mid palate.
And then it softens.
And then
And then it's just saliva city.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to read a little bit. It's
not going to be worth the price, but I would, here's the deal, dude.
Bar?
For that experience, I'd pay like $75 for that.
At a bar, yeah. I mean, it's unique. It is
unique.
There's
the characteristics of it are very good, except for the initial palate and that bitter. I mean, bitter.
Yeah.
2 or 3 seconds in.
I'm going to do a drop of water and just see what happens.
Oh, that's a good idea. Can't believe it.
Let's see how it opens up.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing that, there's 9,600 bottles, 140.9 proof. They released it at the distillery on September 23rd, but this week that we're recording this, it's going out. They did 1,000 bottles at the distillery. The rest, the 8,600, went out this week to retailers across the country. It is
okay. The drop of water is the ticket.
It knocks out that bitterness, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure does. Knocks it down.
Oh,
it's still there.
That's
but
good.
Knocks it down.
That's good.
It is good.
$250 retail. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of age.
I mean, at some point, these people are going to have to understand, like, you don't have Pappy.
It's at least 6 years old. Each barrel uses at least 6 years old, so youngest is 6. It greets you with an alluring bourbon perfume, blending scents of fresh lumber, honey, wheat bread. I feel like that is a spot-on nose description.
Oh yeah, no,
lumber, honey, wheat bread.
Yep.
Yep. Because that's the earthy,
like darker fruit on the nose too.
Yeah. Initial heat reveals an array of flavors: warm plums. I prefer mine chilled. Rhubarb. Yeah, that's
what is rhubarb?
Rhubarb is like
a root.
It looks like celery, but it's red and it's bitter. And so like they make pies out of rhubarb pie.
Why would none of those characteristics sound like they would be good to eat?
Well, it's an old school thing, buddy.
You know why it's old school? Because nobody's making it anymore because it sucks.
No, people make rhubarb. You can get rhubarb in the grocery store.
Well, yeah, because
that's what
they got to find out how to get rid of it somewhere.
That's what
that is celery.
Like.
That's just red
like
celery.
Celery with its red.
Yeah.
So
let me go ahead and tell you what I'm not going to have. I'm not going to have red celery.
All right.
I already don't really love celery.
Well, all right. So rhubarb cocoa powder, check, and cherry juice. Have you ever had cherry juice? Like not like juice from but like not from concentrate cherry juice. It's bitter and tart.
Oh, so not like the little sundae?
No, not maraschino cherry liquid. That's just sugar water, I think. Yeah.
Are they called maraschinos?
Not real maraschinos. They're like candied maraschinos. But yeah.
The ones at Sonic.
Those. Yeah.
Those are maraschinos.
But not real maraschino.
But not real. Well, then why are we calling them maraschinos?
Because they call them that for marketing purposes. Yeah.
Old Stag.
Balanced by the earthiness of roasted pecans. I can definitely get that, especially when some of those pecans have some of the bitterness from the shell in there.
Yeah, it's got a little nut, but not like the Jim Beam nut.
A touch of white chocolate and clove honey. I don't know where they're getting that. Finish is a mix of cinnamon candy.
I can see clove honey.
Okay.
On that finish.
Not clover honey.
Clove. I mean, I'll smoke cloves.
Oh, yeah. Delightful mix of cinnamon candy, burnt marshmallows, 100%.
Yeah, no, that's 100. Yeah.
Chewy caramels, apple cider, leaving behind a warmth akin to spicy citrus, cinnamon, and comforting apple pie. That is a very spot-on description that is all favorable.
I don't get the apple pie. I don't get baked goods.
Yeah,
like
I
sweet baked goods.
If it were wrapped in a leather satchel, maybe. But I think that's a pretty good description of what we just tasted.
No, I here's the deal. Out of all the tasting notes that people just mess up, they did not mess this up.
No,
it's pretty good tasting notes.
And I do think
maybe one or two are questionable, but that's it.
I think the bottle price is high, $250. I understand it's $250 for essentially a 6-year product that's 140 proof. If it was $150, if that were a $150 bottle, I would be buy. I would say
you would be buy.
Yeah, I would say for
I can't believe I'm having a third pour.
I would say for $150, I would buy this because I think it's good enough, it's hot enough, it's unique enough, and it's not offensive. It's not offensive like some.
It's not
stuff we've had from Texas Brimstone.
I think the highest I'd go with this is probably 120.
That's probably more what I should pay, but 250 is really high. I would say, and I think a lot of that's the packaging. They spend a lot. It comes in like a wooden box, like we've been talking about all night, and like it's got a lot of silver filigree and things.
The Cowboys, the one thing that a lot of people nationally try to get.
Yeah.
So they're going to embellish it a little bit.
So
add some value.
But that being said, it's not a bad whiskey. I know some people that say, like, if I saw someone say, like,
it's not bad at all.
If you put anything favorable about any Garrison Brothers product, I will turn off your channel. And I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's expensive. I think it's too expensive for what it is, but people price accordingly. I would say bar though. I don't know what a bar pourer is, but it's interesting enough to me to drink that again.
You'd pay $100 an ounce for that at a bar,
probably.
So let me go ahead and tell you what I'm not. It's not a bar for me.
So it's just a pass.
It's got to be a pass. However, this is good. This is pretty daggum good Texas whiskey.
I think that's the problem I'm having. That it is too spendy, all across the board. But I do want to. I like this experience I'm having with it.
I do too.
It's not a.
We've been
drinking some good stuff tonight.
Look, if we both split a bottle, it's basically $125 each.
So that's cheaper than those 5-packs.
I'm well aware. Buffalo Trace, you suck. Garrison Brothers, you're on the edge. We need this at like, I don't know, like 175.
Yeah, maybe if they put a 375 out and it was $80.
Yeah, but they'd be losing money.
I don't know.
And have to pay more for glass.
It's gotta be so expensive to run. Just imagine how much is just evaporating that daggum Texas heat in high Texas.
They're just paying taxes on that heat.
I don't know if they have to pay the same barrel tax. Probably not in Texas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Property tax. Property taxes in Texas will run you to an early grave.
Get a tent.
Get a tent.
Pitch a tent in Garrison Brothers headquarters.
What?
So you can drink all the cowboy bourbon.
I was talking about property taxes.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about property, too. My property assets called whiskey in the Texas Garrison Brothers establishment.
I heard there was a bill in Tennessee where they're going to start putting a bottle tax for people's in-home collections.
I know a few bills in Tennessee. I have not heard them say that.
No.
Bill Rogers, I'm talking to you. Actually, he's in Georgia. Do I know a bill?
Oh man, I watched the first.
I don't know a bill in Tennessee. I'm pretty sure.
Our governor's name is Bill.
Oh, I thought his last name was Lee.
That is his last name. His first name is Bill.
I just call him Lee.
Hey, I watched the first 5 minutes of an episode we did a few months back, and I laughed so hard.
What were we doing?
It was the one where you had that inappropriate relationship with that older man in your neighborhood that took you to ride a horse.
Oh, God, Herman Nicholson.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
I was rolling. I was so good.
That was the first time I learned that a shotgun was just basically a BB gun, but a lot of them.
Is that what Herman taught you?
Well, no, he shot a like a Castrol GTS can or whatever.
Yeah.
And it had a bunch of BB holes in it.
So that was the Rittenhouse picks. Rittenhouse store picks side by side was what it was called on YouTube. And that was from how long ago? Just if anyone's curious.
If I remember, I'll link it in the description.
Yeah. This is 8 months ago. So it was earlier this year. I don't know why I clicked on it. But
8 months ago.
It was
that was when I came back.
It was hilarious. It was very early. And it just cracked me up laughing so hard at you talking about this friend and like it was so weird.
Oh, I mean it was
he took you to ride a pony.
In my head it wasn't that weird.
Right.
Talking about it later.
It
seems questionable.
Solid the more facts you'd reveal.
I mean, I don't feel like I was in an inappropriate situation.
Yeah. All right, so I'm bar but hesitantly just because I'll waste money on things that are overpriced, but it is a good enough experience.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be more offerings on that whiskey menu. Do you really truly go to Garrison Brothers Cowboy and say, I'm going to pay $100 for that in a bar? Because they're going to try to make up the bottle costs in 2 or 3
Let me tell you what's going on in my head right now. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to be a liar and be stubborn and be like, yeah, I will. I'll see it and I'll try it. But you're right. I probably won't. But
right. But we are answering for what we think people listening would gravitate. Like, so we're trying to be, here's the whiskey,
there are
here's how we
people
think
that
about
will not like this. It's a bold, aggressive flavor.
A lot of people will not like it.
It's a bold, aggressive flavor. I happen to like leathery.
Me too.
Bourbons.
Me too.
Like it's something earthy and raw.
Love earthy.
I love earthy. And I love raw. That's why I love
rums. I know.
That's why I love those old soul picks, because what I say it's gone through hell in middle Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi summers, and you can just taste the heat and the humidity.
It just looks like a real ugly dog coming out of Texas.
Golly, it's just got a bunch of potholes and
somebody bottle me. I've been through dadgum hell and back.
It's not pristine. It's not pretty. It's rough, and I like that about it. I like the spirit behind it. I like the ingenuity and the stick-to-itiveness, and that's what you get when you taste this a little bit. Yeah. It may not be the most perfect flavor. It may not be the most refined flavor. But that's not what I want out of it. It's called cowboy bourbon, dadgummit. I want it to taste rough and raw, and that's what it tastes like. That's why I like the experience of it. I don't like the price at all.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You are not wrong. But here's the deal. They're going to sell out at $250. So,
they will, because they do. People
we're
buy
upset about it, but at the end of the day, it's a supply and demand issue, and they set the price point and it goes.
I think I read this is the 9th. This is the 9th one they've done. So clearly it's not failing for them.
No.
So they're going to be okay. But I can't tell everyone to run out and buy it at that.
Well, you got to understand, like, Texas money's different. They're printing money down there.
This is the strongest cowboy bourbon to date as well at 140.9.
Hazmat. Mm-hmm. Here's the deal. I have had a couple of these.
I had one that was, dare I say, phenomenal.
Really? The other one that I had was not great.
He gave me 3 samples of 3 different years, and I tried Boom Boom Boom, and one of them, and I don't know what year it was. That this was several years ago when he gave me these. So, and I had one that really, really stuck out to me as a phenomenal iteration. This how I just described it when I went on that rant about the rawness of it. It's there. That's what it is. If that's your ticket, maybe you go buy a bottle of it or buy it at a bar. But I do agree. If you're just looking for a sweet bourbon, that's high proof. This isn't it. This isn't like this makes George T. Stagg feel dainty in some ways because it doesn't have the rough edges that this has.
I mean, it's appropriately named. Cowboy bourbon.
Right. If this was
it's
called
good. That's what I'm so upset.
If this was called Top Hat Bourbon, I'd be like, liar. But it's not called Top Hat Bourbon.
Black tie bourbon.
Yeah, exactly. If this were Golden Wedding, I'd be like, I don't think so. Not my wedding.
I shot a wedding this past weekend.
I know.
My legs hurt.
Yeah,
I've got 2 more until I'm done.
So my Paul had this joke he would do when I was a little kid.
Okay.
Saying your legs hurt made me think about this. So whenever I was, being a little kid, being rowdy, he'd go, "Hey, you want to know a magic trick?" See, Paul.
Number one, if an adult tells a kid that, you run.
Yeah. Hey,
generally.
You want to see some magic? Yeah, Paul, I do. This is in East Teboga, Alabama.
East Teboga.
All right, here's what you do. You run around the house 3 times as fast as you can. And then when you finish the 3rd lap, you turn around and look behind you as fast as you can. And there'll be 2 calves following behind you. Like baby cows.
Oh, I thought you were somebody's legs.
He was. That's the joke. That's the granddad joke. So you'd run as hard as you can, and then you look back, and you're like, Papa, I didn't see these calves. Where are they? You didn't look quick enough. You got to do it again. Papa, I didn't see these calves.
Dude, grandparents are just a bunch of a-holes.
You got to look behind you faster, Will. All right.
Papa, my mom told me never look behind. Just look forward, son. Even if you mess up, just keep going.
Finally, the 3rd or 4th time, my granny, she goes, Will, he's talking about the calves on your legs. I told that story at his funeral.
That's sweet.
I know. When I was young. I was in like middle school.
Yeah. That's sweet. I don't have any jokes from my grandfather.
That's a solid Paul joke.
My grandfather was racist and not great.
All right. Well, let's end there, folks. All right.
I don't love them.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Hey, if you want to go see Grease's solo review of American Single Malt from Jack Daniel's, patreon.com/the podcast. So we're going to be putting up a lot more content if you want to support us and get involved in town halls and virtual bar nights and things of that matter.
And some new stuff coming.
All right, folks. We don't know Jack,
but we'll drink it.